And so it gives me a lot of joy to see so many interested participants. I was expecting only few because of the pandemic and also the way things are going right now. A lot of things are getting really busy within our office also, and I'm sure it's the case with everyone. But very happy to see so many, particularly the young people, young crowd, getting so interested in birding. So I'm Raj Kamal. You might have got some emails and messages from me. And we have few people in this hall, and we also have quite a few online. So we'll just quickly start with a round of short introduction where you can just switch on your video, your mic, and just introduce yourself in few sentences. And so we'll first go through the online participants and then we'll come to the people in the hall. So Adyan, can you just introduce yourself, and I'll call out the name and that person can just switch on their mic and camera and introduce themselves to everyone.
1 second, I'll just switch on my camera. Okay. Can you see me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Adyan. Go ahead.
Okay. So I like birds. I like birds a lot. But I really, the one bird that I really am interested in and seeing a lot is the greater racket-tailed drongo. So I'm very interested in it, and also the mimicry of drongos. That's it.
What do you do, Adyan, apart from birding? Apart from birding, which school do you go? Which class you are in?
I'm in 4th grade. I study in Vidyar High, Jakkur.
Great. So a lot of, I think one round of applause for probably our youngest participant. So next, Janani, can you just follow Adyan?
Yeah. Hi. So I'm Janani, and I'm an architect. I'm also working with as a researcher with Environment Support Group, and so we do work on ecology and environmental related, justice related issues, and I'm very keen on attending this bird watching, and I'm going to be coming there with my son, so I can also introduce him to bird watching. He's a really small boy. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Janani, and excellent to hear you bringing your son. Then can Vinit join in? Followed by Naveen.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Vinit. I've been into birds all my life as a casual interest, but it's just been the last year or so that I've been doing some little bird walks within Bangalore, around Bangalore. So I'm very keen on going for this backyard bird spotting and bird identifying. I'm also joined by my wife, Smita. She's also on the call somewhere. So both of us will be joining for all the mornings the next 4 days. And yeah, so my background is really software development.
Naveen?
The camera is not working though, so I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been I'm an amateur birder. I have started recently. I have been taken to this while being part of the larger birding groups, which are being conducted by Deepa, who is here on the call as well. So much thanks to Deepa for introducing me to this, and yeah, pretty much looking forward to the event. So on a daily basis, I'm a software developer as well.
Deepa?
Hi, just a minute. Um, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Deepa Mohan. I'm a very keen bird watcher, and I conduct a lot of group walks in and around Bangalore. Looking forward to the walks.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepa. Onindo can come in next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Anando Ghosh. I'm a political ecologist by profession. I am part of Biodiversity Collaborative, and my role is into public engagement and outreach, very new to birding. And this is for me a great chance to not only get introduced to birding, but also to get introduced to people who love birding and the community that we have around it. So really looking forward.
Thanks a lot, Onindo. Raj TR, followed by Saklane, maybe.
Hi, good evening. This is Raj. I'm a software engineer by education and profession. And I've been interested in birds from before, but of late it has got renewed due to my son's interest in birding that he picked up during the lockdown. I have been part of the walks conducted by Deepa Mohan, say 5 to 6 of them. I'm really interested in this, the next few morning walks that's going to happen. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks, Raj. Saklane, I can't see him anymore. So maybe Smita can come in.
Hi, 1 second. Yeah, hi, I'm Smita, and a mental health professional. I'm a counselor by profession. I have joined my husband for several of these bird walks. That is initially just after we got married, that he's the one who introduced me to birds. I started watching birds, after he was pointing it out to me. So it slowly developed an interest, got the book of Salim Ali and have been following, and walk around with the camera I have, and have thoroughly enjoyed my bird walks with Deepa Mohan. And I'm very keen and to learn more during these bird walks. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in person as well.
Thanks, Smita. Can Swati introduce herself, followed by Vinit?
Hi guys, good afternoon. So I'm Swati and I'm a technical writer, basically in the software segment again. And this is an entire whole new world for me. Honestly, I'm a very lazy person, but I was introduced to this concept by my friend Janani, who is on the call. So, I mean, and I have 2 young girls. So I thought, that's the best way to introduce them to things close to nature, birds especially, so they appreciate nature. And that's my only intent, to be a part of this group.
Kisang? Followed by Mittal, maybe?
Oh, hi. Hi, my name is Mittal Gala, and I work with Nature Conservation Foundation. And I've been birding for almost 10 years and plus. And I'm fortunate to work on a project which involves birds. So basically, my job, my hobbies, my jobs, and vice versa. So thank you.
Yeah, many of you might know Mittal here, and she's the one who manages and does most of the outreach work for Ebirds. Kisang, are you there? If you are there, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kesang. I'm a PhD student at ATREE. I work on flora, but I'm also interested on fauna. and I thought it would be great to familiarize myself with birds in and around our campus. So that's why I joined this bird count. So yeah, looking forward to see you all in person.
Thanks. So is anyone left in the online, among the online participants whose name I didn't call? If I left anyone by mistake, they can just come and introduce themselves. Okay, so we'll start with the people who are here in the hall. So I request one by one to come in front of the camera and just give a short introduction.
Hi, my name is Kavin, and I have been a wildlife volunteer for quite some time, and this is the first time I'm actually getting involved in birding as a community activity. I have been doing that myself and photographing a lot of birds in and around Bangalore, but I'm pleased to be a part of this program, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all. Thank you.
Hi all, I'm Seena. I work as a research associate at ATREE, and I got interested in birds recently, like while following my husband looking at birds. I work in the insect lab here at ATREE. See you all.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiki. I'm a PhD student here at ATREE. So this is the first time I'm into this birding thing. So I hope I'll learn few things about how to identify the bird, because I'm very new to this e-birding thing. Hope to meet you all in person. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruth Kipken, and I work here as a research assistant in the Plant Systematics and Conservation Lab. I'm new to birding, and this is going to be my first time, so I'm pretty excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
We have Dr. T. Ganesh with here now, who is a senior fellow at ATREE and has decades of experience of birdings behind him, both as a professional birder, someone who studies it for science, and he takes great interest in birding. He loves birding. So he will come and he will give his talk on why one should do birding, and he has done a lot of birding in this neighborhood, particularly over the last 12 years. And he'll be sharing some of the experiences of, talk about some of the birds that you have seen, some of the interesting one, of course. So welcome, Dr. Ganesh.
Yeah, thank you, Rajkamal. Am I audible? I'm visible now, I think. Okay. Yeah, yeah, thanks to everybody here and also several of you online. It's great to see people from outside ATREE joining this event, I think, which was organized quite at a very short notice. And I myself, I think was told yesterday, yeah, maybe, yeah, yesterday to say something about birds, but actually the agenda says that I'm going to talk about birding I mean, hiding birds or something. But I think there are better experts to talk on those things. I think Mittal is there, Rajkamal is there. They'll probably give you a much greater flavor of birding. But what I want to talk with you, or even probably discuss with you, is few things. One is about ATREE itself. What is ATREE? Because several of you are from outside ATREE. You may not know what ATREE is. So a gentleman here has been living in the neighborhood of ATREE, but he came to know about ATREE very recently. So I very briefly, unfortunately, I don't have a presentation or any colorful slides to show you. But very briefly, I'll tell you that ATREE is as you might know, is a non-governmental organization. It's a private research organization. We focus mostly on research related to biodiversity. It could be birds, mammals, even communities living in forests. And but one of the main agenda of ATREE over the years has been to engage with public. We do our research, but how do we take this research out into the to the larger audience sense? And then the larger audience is basically people like you who are as part of this this event. So so we have several such programs that ATREE is basically works several parts of India, and a lot of it in the Western Ghats and the Northeast Himalayas. So we have education programs at these places, what we call as community conservation centers, where we engage with the local communities there. So these communities are not urban communities in a sense. They are mostly rural communities and people from small towns. And that is where ATREE's focus has been over the last almost 25, we are going to celebrate 25 years now, is to engage with communities who are far away from actual learning, far away from exposure to many of the contemporary issues that that's challenging our biodiversity. And that is the reason we have these several education programs running in these community conservation centers. And one of them is engaging children. We do a lot of these bird watching, even insect watching, and several such things, plants, flowers, and stuff like that at that level. But to engage at the city, I mean, at the, like places like Bangalore, it has been a challenge in some sense. And we are not so much into that because there are several organizations who do it very well. And we don't want to get into that. But our idea was to, if you stay in a locality, ATREE is located in near Jakkur in Bangalore, and you need to know the neighborhood, you have to engage with that neighborhood. And what I mean by the neighborhood is people living around the organization, the houses, the layouts, the communities. So we want to engage those communities in activities such as these. So several years back, I remember the World Environmental Day used to be a big event in ATREE. And the event is basically, we used to work with schools around Sri Rampura and Jakkur. And I remember one of our faculty member, Dr. Siddhappa, used to take these children on a tree walk or in a walk to the lake. And these are small children from these, that time Sri Rampura was a very small place. And we had a lot of small children and even youth and all that were so excited about it. But somehow in the last few years, I don't know whether it's because of COVID or lockdown or whatever it is, it got disrupted. So this event, as what Rajkamal has organized, is part of that activity to re-energize that engagement with the people around ATREE and to tell what ATREE does and how we collectively can be responsible for conservation. So that in short is what ATREE is planning to do and would be doing in the next several years. The other thing, as Rajkamal said, is regarding birding. I started watching birds, and there was an interesting comment from one of the audience that she's a bit lazy and she doesn't want to do bird watching, and that exactly applies to me. I've been pretty much lazy, and I never would want to get up in the morning and go and watch birds. So, but still I was interested in birds. So what happened was that I started watching birds in the evenings. It's a very convenient time. It's a, you just walk into a park or walk into the street or walk anywhere, you can see some birds and you try to identify them. That's how you learn, and you have Salim Ali those days, Salim Ali's book. So in particularly why I refer to that evening birding is that that's what got me excited to work on harriers. And harriers, the birders in the group will know, they are migrant raptors, which are basically grassland raptors, and they forage in grasslands, they roost in grasslands. And so that's how I used to go in the evening and watch these birds come to roost and come back. And so that passion developed into other forms of birding. But then I left birding for several, almost a decade and more. And then now I got back into it again with the harriers. So we do an interesting work in ATREE, which is we fit GSM collars on these birds and see where they go, where they migrate to, which countries they go, what habitats they use, and what is the track they follow to reach their breeding grounds. So that is the work that sort of is kind of came out of my laziness. So people who are lazy, I would say that don't worry. There are several opportunities, and that laziness might be a good thing after all. So yeah, so that off late I've become more active in the morning. So I generally watch birds around. I stay very close to one of the birding not hotspots, the birding areas that you'll be visiting, Sampigalli Lake. And I go there every morning. I take my dog there. So I watch a lot of birds. So what, I've seen the evolution of these lakes, especially the lesser known lakes in Bangalore. You have a Jakkur Lake, which has got a lot more attention, but smaller lakes have almost disappearing. And that is what has happened to Sampigalli Lake. When you go there in the next few days, you will see it completely covered by vegetation. You won't see any piece of water there at all. But still, it's a very attractive place for many bird that prefers that kind of vegetation. And one of the birds that I would want to show the picture here is the birders will of course recognize it. Is the painted snipe. I don't know how many of you have seen it in Bangalore, but it has been sighted quite often in many of these small, small ponds and tanks with a lot of vegetation. And the interesting thing about this bird, which I want to say here, is that the picture you see is about a female. And generally in birds, the females are not very colorful. So it is the males which are very beautiful and which are more attractive. So in this species, the female which is the most attractive. This is one of the, I think, the only species, or maybe very few species of birds, which has this complete reversal of roles. In literally, it's a reversal of roles because this bird is the female does not bother about the eggs or the hatchlings. It's the male which takes care of raising the family, which is completely different from all the other birds that you see. So if you're lucky, you might see this bird around this place. Yeah. So the other one which was quite common in Bangalore. So this is the male of the painted snipe. You see how drab it is. And this is, yeah. And the other bird I was talking is the eagle owl, the rock eagle owl, which was once a pretty common bird around this place, especially when most of the quarries were there. Most of the rocks were there and they've been quarried, and now it's almost disappeared. There is a small population in the Sampigali Lake, which if you are lucky, if you go very early in the morning, you might see it. And this is probably the last few owls that is left in this area. I mean, around ATREE, I'm saying. There may be other places where you will definitely see this more often. So, so what I'm trying to say is that there are some very interesting and things to watch around those places that you are going to go. And I would want to stop here, and I can take some questions. We can have a discussion for if you have some time. And
we do have some time, and I had asked people to share their questions if they have. So if you want to ask your question, just switch on your mics and just shoot. Or if anyone in the hall also has any question. Yeah, so I think Kavin has a question. Just give the mic to him.
So what the effort right now is just a public outreach program, or there's any other resource you want to gather, or how is it? Is just outreach, or what is it? Is what I want to know. What is the objective of the exercise actually?
Yeah, it's basically to bring out awareness among the public around your center. So it's an outreach program, but we have a very structured outreach program in many of our centers. But here we are trying to just start now. And so the engagement has always been with children, at the school children. But now also with the citizens like you people. But whereas in the other centers, we have a long-term engagement with citizens of that area. So for instance, in Vembanad, Kerala, they engage a lot of people to actually count fishes in the Vembanad Lake. And that's been going on for a long time. And that's been kind of a monitoring the ecosystem of Vembanad. Similarly, in the Tirunelveli region where I'm involved is we ask citizens to count birds in such wetlands, small wetlands, and over 50 to 60 wetlands they count every year. So we have a data of almost now 12 years, and we are currently trying to publish that, which shows clearly that there is many of these species are declining. So this is completely a citizen based, people like you who contribute to that. And all this data is uploaded, it's all, it's not restricted in any way. And most of it goes into Ebird. I think people will be talking about Ebird. So anybody can access that data. So that's the kind of completely open access to information is what we're trying to do.
You can ask your question, Raj.
Yeah, sir, I have a question regarding the outreach that you have for children. My son is really interested in birding. So I'd like to know what is the outreach plans that you currently have and what you have planned for the children, basically.
At least 5 to 6 years back, we had what was called as the vacation training program for children who are just passing out of 10th class. And also we had a program for children from, I think, 6th to 8th class in Bangalore and other parts of Karnataka. But unfortunately, we couldn't sustain that program. So most of our children program is now concentrated in our centers. As I said, there are centers in different districts in India and different states. So one option that we are now exploring is that children from cities can go there as a group or the school, and they can experience quite a bit of experiential learning in these sites. That's what we are planning to, and that's already on. And because of the COVID, we were not able to do for the last 2 years, but now it's quite on. So if your child is very interested to look at nature and observe things, he can volunteer with us. That's a possibility.
Hi, good afternoon. Just one quick question. We just want to understand if children as young as 3 or 4 would, this is my first experience, would they be able to cope up with the activities and would they appreciate the whole thing? Should we get them along, or what would you suggest?
I think you should get them along. If you're coming, you should. Age is never a restriction.
Okay.
So you can get them along. They can just feel the sound, feel the air, feel the plants. You know, those are experiences, very rich experience for a child of even 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Yeah, you're most
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any
All the
questions?
sessions will be in the same Sampegehalli Lake. I mean, all the box on all the other days. I think it's 4 days, right?
Yeah. So we are covering 3 lakes, the closest lakes to ATREE, on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And tomorrow, on Friday, we'll be walking around Royal Enclave, which is quite a green kind of residential layout flanking Rachanhalli Lake. And Royal Enclave is where ATREE is also located. So that is what we are going to do over the next 4 days.
Okay, thank you. Timings, I did. Sorry, I might have missed it in the mail. What was the timing mentioned for Mondays and all the other days?
Yeah, it was in the registration form. You had you had a choice to decide.
Yeah. I have decided. I have chosen. I didn't see the timing, so.
Oh, no. So every day morning it starts at 7 and evening it starts at 4:30. It's the same time for every day.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I see some new participants here who didn't introduce themselves, and I think everyone will be interested to just know about you a bit, not too much. Maria Anjum, can you just switch on your camera and mic and just quickly introduce yourself in few sentences, and followed by Saklain?
Hi, is it okay if I don't switch on my video?
No problem at all.
Okay, so I'm currently a 3rd-year student of St. Joseph's College. I'm doing my BSc in Chemistry, Environmental Science, and Zoology. That's pretty much it.
That's fine, Maria. Thanks a lot. Saklain, can you come in? Okay, Saklain again disappeared. Very shy, like the birds. Then we have Shayub or Shoaib, yeah. You can unmute yourself and just talk. Yeah.
Hi, this is Shoaib. I basically run a business, and I've recently started doing birding. I'm basically a wildlife rescuer in Bangalore. I rescue snakes and other urban wildlife. I have rescued quite a few birds, but not known much about them. So it's very important for me to learn about birds, being a rescuer. So that's why I've started birding and started to learn about birds.
Thanks, Shoaib.
Thank you.
Sarbari, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, please. Apologies. Yeah. Yeah, Bhuvnesh, go ahead.
Yeah, you're pronouncing it properly. Thank you.
Yeah, Sarbari, go ahead.
Hello. My name is Bhunesh.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I used to be a small-time bird watcher. I was associated with bird watching through my boss. He was a wildlife enthusiast and a huge bird watcher. His name was Umas Shankar. It was mostly in and around Raichur because I was in that area for about 10 years. So I have gone around with him for about say 2-3 years. Off late, last 6 years, I couldn't. I've come down to Bangalore, so I couldn't. So the moment I saw this thing, I thought I would restart doing bird watching. That's all.
Sharbari?
No, she's my wife. She just joined.
Okay. So, Stefan, yeah, Stefan. Stefan is a, veteran in birding. So.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. I'm Stefan, and I'm a school teacher actually.
I came to Bangalore 4 years back, and I think I have covered almost all the lakes, including these Rachanahalli as well as Jakkur. I'm a kind of a regular birder, so hope to see you all on coming Sunday.
When you are being a little modest.
I know my talk was not part of the schedule, but Dr. Ganesh insisted that I should share something, so it will be very short. I'll just share this screen. Yeah.
How to enjoy bird watching when it is yet also a part of your job. Kamal Goswami, Bongo Shantan.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry for the glitch. So Mittal raised a very interesting point when she was introducing herself, that birding is also part of our profession. And usually most of us hate our profession. And that's why you see today, many of the people are in software, but they're really interested in birding. And I'm sure most of them don't like their job as much. So it's a difficult thing for us to reconcile. Something we do day in and day out. How do we do it as also a thing that we really enjoy? And yesterday, someone, I think Suhail, posted one very nice picture on his Facebook page, where he showed different addicts, followed by a birding addict, and he showed the difference, like before, after. So a coke addict was of course in shambles once he was once he got addicted, but only the birding addict seemed happy and really thriving once he got addicted to birds. So that is something that most of us today have experienced in life. And there are different reasons why people love birding. So I'm not going to generalize it. I'm just going to share what I find very interesting and loving about birds, and why I enjoy the whole activity of birding. And like TG told, he just loved. But for me, I am from Assam, and I feel I'm very lucky enough that I could go around in Northeast as a kid and see a lot of birds around me, but I was not noticing them. They were invisible to me, to be very honest. And the first bird, which in the wild, I'm telling you, which I remember seeing, was in fact something that I saw. Okay. Yeah, something that I saw when I first joined ATREE, in fact. When I started
Paradise flycatcher.
When I started going to KMTR, and I joined ATREE as a research associate, and I wanted to get trained in the technique of camera trapping, and that's when I accompanied, and TG was there with me when I saw this bird for the first time. And this is the first wild bird that I remember seeing, which is very, very unfortunate, because before you can see this bird not only in the wild, you can see it in Bangalore. In fact, my wife has photographed it right in front of our apartment here in Royal Enclave. But this is a very beautiful bird, particularly the white morph. And this is something that I remember from my memories, that the tail was very long and it just flew over our Jeep when we were going up from the foothills of KMTR, and we're climbing right up to Kodiyar. And this left an impression, but still, it really didn't push me to do birding. And I really regret these days. Then the second bird I distinctly remember seeing in the wild was this common shelduck. And I saw this in Manas National Park. So I got trained in KMTR. Then I went to Manas. And all of you know, Manas is such a great, it's a paradise for birds. And TG, who had been there, and I had joined TG as a research associate project of monitoring tigers in Manas. And he had been there and he was telling the bombex were flowering. I remember when he interviewed me for that position, particularly in ATREE, and he was talking very excitedly about all the birds that were there on bombex, which was flowering all over the place inside the national park. And I didn't share his excitement that time, but I found it quite interesting that how people can be so crazy about birds, to be very honest. And I didn't understand many of the like joys that people shared when they spoke about birds. And I remember my colleague Vivek also traveled with us, and both of them were like trying to train me to camera trap tigers. I thought, let's focus on tigers. Let's not look at any other mammals, but not a very wise thing to do, I would say. And then after a few years, I went back to KMTR again. And I remember seeing what was called scarlet minivet then, but now it's called orange minivet. And that left a very deep impression on me, because I still remember we saw it like far. We were driving up to Manjole, somewhere between Singampatti and Manjole. Singampatti is at around 15 meters elevation, and Manjole is at about 1500 meters elevation. So somewhere in between, we saw maybe at around 400, 500 meters, and they were like far on the other cliff across the valley. And it was a beautiful sight, specks of red and yellow flying all around the hills, and of course calling. And yeah, I also remember when I was working in KMTR, looking at Nilgiri langurs, I remember seeing this white-bellied tree pie. And often I used to see it along one of the trail, which is called as the cardamom garden or something like that. And at that point of time, I didn't know that this is one bird which is probably seen only around the part of that Western Ghats. So now since then, I haven't seen this bird actually. When I actually started birding, and I'm still waiting to go to KMTR. I've been telling PG, please take me there once more, so that I can correct some of the wrong that I have done when I was there and I ignored all these birds, and maybe that's why I'm being punished like this and I'm not able to revisit those places. Yeah, and then for my PhD, actually, I started looking at birds seriously for a part of my thesis, actually. That's when I really got to start picking up on birding skills, trying to identify birds in the field, listening to their calls. And in Northeast, the one thing that which is very different from most parts of the country, is that you don't see birds as easily as you see in other parts of the country, particularly for people who have been to Gujarat or Rajasthan, or even like Delhi and all for birding. They can see birds up very close, actually. Birds are not very shy, and that's because people don't hunt birds in those places. In fact, they feed them, they try to nurture them, and they share a very close relationship, animals and people there. But in the Northeast, where hunting is very, very frequent for all kinds of animals, including birds, even the smallest birds like the tailor birds and all, it's very, very difficult to see birds, particularly in areas where hunting is very rampant. So I was very, very excited. It's very difficult to see small birds. We mostly rely on calls to identify them or to record their presence when we do the scientific surveys. So I was very, very excited when I saw one of these two, like I saw a pair of rufous-necked hornbills in this forest called Narpu in Manas, in Meghalaya, where I was doing my PhD work. And that was one of the first big bird sightings that I had, and I was very, very excited about it. But it was this bird which really hooked me. The term that we use, line and sinker, and made me fall in love with birds. Can anyone identify this bird? I'm sure Stefan and Mittal and Deepa can. So apart from them. Okay, this is called the beautiful Nuthatch. And some of you might have seen the the velvet-fronted nuthatch, or the Indian nuthatch, which is commonly seen in the lowland areas, but this is mostly found in the Himalayas, in the broadleaf evergreen forest, usually above 1,000 meters. And it's a beautiful bird. I mean, especially when you can spot them in places like Meghalaya, where it's very, very difficult to spot birds. And having seen the other nuthatches in the country, when I saw this, I'm not exaggerating, but actually I cried. I was so moved by emotion. It was so touching to see this bird like flitting around the bark. So it's like it cleans the barks and the branches just like a woodpecker. So it was a very, very moving experience for me. And since then, when I came back to Bangalore after that trip, I started seeing birds there, and that's when I got introduced to. I mean, I knew about Ebirds, but I had never tried it. And that's when Mittal once asked me if I can do a CBC in ATREE. And I told, yeah, sure, why not? And that's when actually, to be very honest, I started doing e-birding just so that I get familiar for CBC. And since then, I haven't stopped e-birding, and e-birding is what actually introduced me to some of the birds which I will never see in the forest. And those are the birds that you see everywhere in Bangalore. Like there are lakes everywhere in Bangalore. And particularly in the migratory season, you see a lot of wetland birds. And which was very exciting for me because mostly I have done birding in forests. I've studied forest birds. And that's when, and I think that's what beautiful Nuthatch and later Ebirds pushed me for my love for birds. And that's how I started loving birds, even though it was part of my profession. And that's what I want to share. And I would just want Mittal to take it over from here. Thanks a lot, everyone, for sitting through it.
Hey, thank you, Raj. Nice to know your story and how you got into birding. Yeah, really nice. So Raj and I have been talking to each other. I mean, we've spoken or had email exchanges for the last 2-3 years, but we've never met. So hopefully this time on one of the walk we get to meet. Raj, is my screen sharing option on? Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, so I think I'll need to be made a co-host to share my screen. Okay, just a minute. Can you all see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. And there is no obstruction. Nothing is obstructing the screen. Is it?
Yeah, we can see it.
We see, yeah.
Okay. All right. So thanks, Raj. So Mr. Ganesh and Raj showed some lovely photos of birds and shared their experiences. So I need not say that birds are really beautiful and they are everywhere. And even in a very busy place, you will still see birds around. And as a bird watchers, what do? We go to different landscapes, we go to different kind of habitats to watch birds. And sometimes we also put ourselves into difficult situations to photograph these birds. And a lot of us also used to make notes in our diaries. We used to write down what we saw, where we saw, what was the weather like, And if you look at the sketch here, this is from a diary note 1997, where the birder, Mr. Ashish Pitti, has made a sketch of a bird and wrote down the details. And also, if you look, the location is mentioned, the time has been mentioned. And similarly, the image on the right, where again a crude sketch of a bird is made and a short form of the bird names and the count next to it. So we, a lot of bird watchers used to make
Your voice is breaking.
Oh, is it breaking for everyone?
Not really.
No.
Really. It's okay.
Okay. Just let me know if I'm going too fast or if there is a lag between my slides and my talk. Yeah, so a lot of us used to maintain notes. However, there's always a danger of these notes being lost. So on my personal experience, I had some notes from 2004 to 2008. And when moving houses, I lost a whole box of my bird notes and I lost everything. So I had to call my friends who were photographers, ask them to go through the images, and they gave me a very crude list, and I somehow managed to put some birds that I had seen during those trips to eBird, but not from all years. So all this information that you see that bird watchers have been collecting, all this valuable information, what if all the bird watchers put this information on a common platform? And such a common platform that we are going to talk about is eBird. So this is how the eBird website looks like, and I'm going to show you the website maybe after a few slides, but you can either upload your checklist. So when bird watchers go out and when you make a note of the birds that you saw, it's called a checklist. When these checklists are uploaded on eBird, you can either do it through website or through the mobile app. So this mobile app, eBird is actually a global citizen science platform that bird watchers across the world can upload their observations and it also stores information, your information, in a more systematic way. It was developed by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology in the United States, and the app is the most convenient way to use eBird to explore things, to find out about new birds. So this is how the app will look like. You will see the date and the time will be automatically taken by the app when you start it. And the app will take the GPS coordinates and give you a list of birds that are likely to be seen in your area at that time of the year. So if you're in Calcutta, you may see a different list when you open the app than what a birder in Bangalore would see. And all you have to do is you have to start entering the birds that you see or you hear and the count next to it while you're birding. So that this is an easiest way. Once you're done birding, you can upload the checklist. And once the checklist has been uploaded, you can always go back to the list, add photographs, sound recording, and this is how a checklist will look like on the website. So not only it maintains your list where you had been and how long you spent time in birding, but by adding photos and sound recordings, you actually make your birding trips more memorable. You can always go back in time and look at this, open this checklist and remember all those memories coming back. Now, as I said, eBird is a way to systematically enter your bird observations. It also helps science and conservation. And here is a screenshot of my eBird. So as you can see here, I have seen around 528 species of birds, and then it will show me how many lists I have submitted, and it will show me the latest checklist, etc. So this is an old screenshot. It has been updated since then. Now, if you look at the map here, all the yellow that you see is, so this particular map does not have any political boundaries, and all the yellow seen in the map are bird observations. So since 2014, around 20,000 bird watchers have uploaded more than 15 million observations covering all states and union territories, probably more than 600 districts. And these includes observations from bird watchers who have also uploaded their 30-40-year-old observations from their notebooks to the common platform. So if you look in South India, it is much more darker. The yellow is much more darker because a lot of birding happens in Karnataka, Kerala, also Tamil Nadu. And with all this information, a lot of questions we've been able to answer. For example, if somebody had asked us a few years ago, what is the most common bird in India? All of us would have probably different answers. Some would say common manna, some would say pigeon, some would say crow, but nobody had one standard answer. But now with the data that we have, we can confidently say what's the most common bird in India. So this particular map is from last year's GBCC, and we wanted to know what is the most common bird. If we divide India into 7 different regions, what are the top 5 common birds that people have been reporting on eBird during the 4 days of Great Backyard Bird Count? And this is what we found out. So if you look north, 67% of reporting is of common myna, and followed by rose-winged parakeets. And then if you go to east, common myna is in the top 5, but it's on the second number. So all the regions, if you notice clearly, all the regions except the west, common myna is present in all the 6 regions. So here we can say that common myna is most probably the most abundant species in India. Now, let's also try to understand how birdwatchers' observations have helped us to understand distribution of birds. So here you can see a bird, a black-headed ibis. Hopefully on one of your bird walk, you may be able to see this bird. It's a largish bird and slightly smaller than a peacock, but it's still large enough and white enough that you can't mistake it with any other bird. And here are 2 field book images showing the distribution map. And you can see how bird books, 2 different field books, do not agree on a larger species like this. They don't agree on the distribution. So the map on the left shows that it's a resident, shown in green color throughout peninsular India, whereas on the right, it shows that it's partial migrant, shown in blue areas, and green means partial residence. However, if we plot birdwatchers' observations on the map, this is how the map will look like. So all the purple squares that you see are the locations from where birdwatchers have been reporting this species. If you go to the eBird map, it will show you a similar thing where birdwatchers' observations can tell us how frequently this bird was seen, which area it was seen, and who has reported it. So all you have to do is zoom in the map, which you can't do it in bird books, but in eBird you can zoom into the maps. You will see such balloons, and when you click on them, you'll see a checklist, and you can scrutinize the list. You can make sure that the photos that are reported are actually of the black-headed ibis or not. Migration is another interesting topic, and a lot of field guides do not give the exact time or the exact range of the migration. So they use terms like resident, passage, winter, but it may not be true throughout the country. However, a lot of systematic monitoring as well as casual birding, which then again is reported on eBird, can give us some answers about migration. Now, this is the Mysore city bird atlas. So the bird watchers, what they've done is this Mysore City Bird Atlas project was established in 2014 by the Mysore Nature Club to systematically document the distribution and abundance of birds across the city. So the basic outline is that the city is divided into 33 grid cells. Each cell is 2.2 into 2.2 kilometer. And these cells were visited by bird watchers in 3 years in different seasons. And for the first time in India, we were able to see how species richness varied across the city. So one such example is, you can download the entire report from the Bird Count India website, but one such example is black drongo. So, and it showed that seasonal changes, like black drongo did show seasonal changes. In this, you can see that in all 3 years of the atlas, drongo was reported in Feb from most of the grids in the city, but it is rarely seen in summer. So this is a very interesting things that they found through the through mapping the city birds, and you can, there is also a publication in Indian Birds if you want to look at it. Now, based on the birdwatchers' observations uploaded in eBird in India and outside India, we were able to come up with an interesting map. So here, this is an interesting map of 2 species of warblers. These are really small sparrow-sized birds, not very colorful and always moving in tree canopies. But the green warbler, which is shown in green circles, and the greenish warbler, which is shown in purple circles, they both come from different regions. So the green breeds in a smaller area here somewhere in Western Asia, and in compared to that, the greenish has a much larger breeding range, including the Himalayas. But both species come down in India during the winter months. So if you look at the graph from January to December, it shows that the peak starts from August end onwards. And then throughout the December, the people have been reporting this species. And then summer, the species sightings go down. The reporting frequency in eBird is absolutely 0. So look at the map again. Entire global population for both species migrate in India. So this is something, and in fact, they spend more time in India than their own breeding grounds. And then many of you might be familiar with this famous falcon species, the Amur falcon. It has an interesting migration journey. It passes through India in large numbers, especially through Northeast India, and crosses the ocean to reach its wintering ground in South Africa. And then again, after they spend their wintering time is over, they actually cross the ocean, again, go back all the way to Northeast China to breed. And quite dangerous and extraordinary journey to cross ocean back and forth from their breeding grounds to wintering grounds. And this is again, this particular species has also been tracked using radio collar satellite tags, and the satellite tags also have shown the similar kind of information what bird watchers have been doing. But satellite tagging is a very expensive thing, and you can't do it for a large number of birds, not a large number of species, and also your sample size will be probably 10, 15 or maybe 20 birds. But bird watchers are everywhere. With this information, with their information, we can know about a lot more species and a lot more numbers of one species. Similarly, seasonality is another thing which we can now know in each region, when does a migrant arrive and when does it leave. So this is a screenshot taken from eBird, and this is from Odisha. And it shows again January to December month. Each month is split into 4 weeks. And you can see this particular species called fulvous whistling duck, which was recently seen in Bangalore actually, a couple of months ago in Hoskote Lake, which I missed it. So this, in Odisha, it is probably a common bird. It is seen now and then, but not as common as the lesser whistling duck, which is more common. It is seen. It has been reported in eBird throughout the year, so you can safely say that it is a resident species. Whereas the bar-headed goose or the grey-lag goose, which are typically winter migrants in most of the Indian subcontinent, you can see they start arriving by end of October, or bar-headed goose in November, and then some of them leave by Feb, and this probably will vary from us birders living in Bangalore. If we see our Bangalore bar chart or Karnataka seasonality chart for the same species, there might be some changes. Now we talked about how different aspects we get to learn about birds just by by bird watchers' observations. But what is happening to our India's birds? Whether how are they doing? Are they going up? Is their population going up? Are there some birds that are declining? So in 2020, 10 organizations came together and they came up with this report called State of India Birds, which looked at 867 species of birds, their conservation status. And this report was made based on the 10 million observations of bird watchers. And in that, we found out that almost 101 species are of high conservation concern category. That means the reporting frequency in eBird and based on historical records have reduced. So some of the more experienced bird watchers on this forum might know some of the species. May I request people to please mute their mics? Thank you. So species like small minivet, rufous-tailed lark, or blue rock thrush, these used to be once upon a time common birds, but the reporting frequency on eBird has gone down. So these are all showing long-term declines. White rum vulture, which used to be a common vulture species across Indian cities and rural areas, forested landscapes, also has shown great decline. Even after breeding programs, conservation programs, the species still continues to show a steady decline. So that was about how birdwatchers' observations are so powerful and it can answer so many questions. But how can eBird help you as a birder? What all things can you benefit from eBird? So let's take a quick look at the eBird website. Okay. Raj, can you see my screen? The eBird website screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so this is the eBird's global website. So it's ebird.org. If you go onto the global website, most of the information that you will see here would be global information. But in India, we have our own Indian portal. So every time any one of you go on eBird, try to see ebird.org/India. So all the information that you will see on the India portal will be relevant to India. So for example, every month we have news on birding events. And then if you scroll down, you will see a comparison between the top 10 states in terms of species and checklist. So this is 1 month data based on 1 month data. And as you can see, checklist leader, Karnataka has so much of birding that we are on top. And yeah, and with GBCC soon you will see that these things will change. Probably Kerala or Tamil Nadu will take over. So there is always a friendly competition between Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And then if you are a photographer, you can upload your photos to your eBird checklist, and you could also ask your friends to rate them. And the top photos or the top rated photos will be shown here. So anybody who goes on eBird website is actually looking at your photos. Similarly, you can upload sound recordings. And one way, if you are somebody who likes to see new birds and do not mind traveling, then this is something which might interest you, because all the rare birds that are reported will be shown here. And then based on that, you can decide if you want to make a trip to that area. So this was the basic homepage. But now let's look at what other things you can find. So I'm going to take you to the explore feature. Raj, am I running out of time?
No. You can go ahead. No problem.
Okay, please tell me 5 minutes before if I'm running out of time.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the explore page. You can find a bunch of information here. So suppose if I want to look at common myna. So here it will show me a small snippet, give me a snippet of the common myna. I can listen to audio recordings. I can also go to the map. So let's look at the map. Let's see how far the common myna is distributed. And all the purple that you can see here are the locations from where common mynas have been reported. And you can see it's almost across the world there are records. Yeah, and you can see India has the highest concentration of common mynas, reporting of common myna. And then you can also filter it by location. So let's take another example, a warbler called Blythe's reed warbler, which is again a small brown pale bird, but again, amazing migration. And this, let me zoom out. So this is the distribution of Blythe's reed warbler. Now, if it is also seen in India, but it's a winter migrant. So if I go to December, oh, sorry. If I say December, let's see what happens. So you can see December, there are hardly any records of Blythe's reed warbler anywhere across the world. That means the entire population comes to India during the winter months. But if I type, say, May, or say June, July, most of them would have left India. So you can type location-wise, you can filter everything. You can also, going back to the explore page, you can also explore regions. So say, for example, I want to know what are the hotspots next in Bangalore. So this is the Bangalore page for in Ebird, and it will show that so far in Bangalore, 378. Now, Bangalore in Ebird is split into two places. One is Bangalore and one is Bangalore rural. So Bangalore itself has 378 species and more than 98.5 thousand checklists submitted by more than 3,000 bird watchers. And you can see the recent visits here, and you will also see the top hotspots, and let's go to more hotspots. So if you want to plan your birding trip on a weekend, if you want to know where you would like to go, you can always go through the hotspots. All these hotspots are places suggested by eBirders where people can go, anybody can go and watch birds. And when again, you can open each and every hotspot and you can see what has been reported. So what are the places that we are planning for campus bird count and GBBC? If Raj, if you remember, I'm sure you should remember. Okay, let's see. Yelahanka.
Sorry, you are muted. So you wanted to know which are the places, right?
Yeah, which are the places we are going?
So one is Rachenhalli Lake.
Okay, and the
and
other?
Jakkur Lake.
Jakkur, right? So let's look at
Jakkur Lake is there, and Sampigehalli Lake.
Okay, so let's see Jakkur. So not only you can narrow down the location to city, but you can also narrow it down to district level and hotspot levels. And this is how the Jakkur so far has 209 species reported. And these are the recent visits. So somebody had gone as recent as 13th Feb and reported a lot of species, lot of checklists. You can see here their names. So yeah, you can look at all these things. You can also contribute your photos and everything. So these are the things which you can look on eBird. Now, I don't know if I have time to show you. So yeah, as I said, you can submit your checklist through website or through the app. I'm not going to show you how to submit through the website. And I don't know if we have time to show you how to use the app.
You have.
I have, right? Okay, so in that case, I will have to connect through my mobile. So just give me a minute. Meanwhile, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. We can take a 5-minute break. Meanwhile, I'll just log in through my phone.
I just wanted to check, is the session being recorded, Raj?
Yeah, we are recording it.
Okay, great. And you'll make it available, right? Just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So Raj, I'm joining through my mobile. You might see one more Mittal popping on your
No
screen.
problem at all.
Will you be able to give me sharing access?
I'll do that, yeah. So anyone else has any question, please feel free to ask. Just unmute your mic and you can ask your question.
Okay, Raj, you can please make me co-host again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see my mobile screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how the app looks like. So you can download the app. Once you have downloaded the app, you have to sign into your account. And if you don't have an account, you will have to create one. And once you have signed in, the app, for the first time eBird users, if you're downloading it for the first time, the app will ask you to download a bird pack. And the suggested bird pack would be either South India or India bird pack. So the 4 lines that you see, the 3 lines that you see here, if I click on it, it will show me the packs. So since I have already downloaded the India bird pack, for me it is showing installed, but otherwise it will show you how much MB the bird pack will take to install. So why is this bird pack important? It's because even when you are birding in remote areas and you don't have data connection, you can still use the app. The bird pack will install all the bird species that are reported in India. And when you open your app, the app will take the GPS coordinates of your place and it will give you the best possible birds that have been reported in the past based on the past records. It will show you a filter of birds that can be seen in that area at that time of the year. So a bird pack is very important. And also when you go here, if you are a first time eBird user, or even Raj for you, if you have used eBird before, just make sure that the settings are set to India settings. Now I'm not going to talk about the settings here. It might take some time, but I can later on share a video with Raj, which will guide you on how to change your settings to India settings. Let's go back to the app main page. So the app automatically takes the date and time, and keep the record track option. We recommend it to keep this on, because when you keep the record track option on, when you're birding, suppose you're walking and birding or driving and birding, the GPS will trace your path of birding, so that it will trace your route. Now this route will be seen in your checklist, and the checklist that you will be, if you're sharing the checklist with other birders who were there with you. So it won't be seen if I open your checklist or somebody else open the checklist. They will not be able to see the route that you had taken. It's a privacy issue, so only you can see it. Now let's do a dummy list. I will click on the start checklist. So I have reached the birding location, and that's when I will start my list. So as you can see on top, the app has already started recording the time, and I am not moving, but in case if I start moving with my phone around, it will automatically start calculating the distance. The GPS had automatically selected the coordinates, so I don't have to worry about the location yet. Now it's going to show me a list of species that are likely to be found in Bangalore. So let's start entering a few birds. So I can hear a few red-whiskered bulbuls outside my window. So I'll type bulbul. So I don't even have to type the full name of the bird. I just type a few letters and the app will give me all the bulbuls that are possible in this area. So let's say red whiskered bulbul. You see the plus sign next to the bulbul, that's when you will put the count. So I'll tap it twice because I think there are 2 bulbuls outside. I also hear a tailor bird. So again, I can either type common, but then common, a lot of birds have common in their name, so it might probably give me a long list, but I can always type tailor, T-A-I, tail, and it will give me the birds with most likely birds. So I will say 1. Now I saw rose-ringed parakeets in flight, probably going to the roosting site. So I have to add 10 rose-ringed parakeets. Now I can either type parakeet and then tap on the plus sign twice, or the most easiest and quicker way is to type 10 and type, and then I just have to tap on the rose-ringed. So the count has automatically been entered. So after some time, if I see another 15 or 20 rose-ringed parakeets, I can simply type again 20 para, tap on it, and it will get added to the previous count. So this is the easiest way. Suppose if I want to add some information. So for example, I saw Ashidrongo, but I do want to add some notes. Or maybe after some time I did see 2. Here I can add notes saying that slimmer tail, no white spot on the near the beak, red eye, saw in a forested patch. Yeah, and then I can click on done. So you can see here a comment box has got activated. So I've added comments to it. Similarly, I can continue adding notes, whatever birds that I see. If I want to add notes, I can. If I don't want to, that's also fine. I can keep adding birds. I can keep adding counts and the bird that I saw. Okay, so let's assume that we have seen. Before we proceed, there are few things which I want to show you. Sometimes the app might show you some rare birds. So for example, I saw an eagle owl, a spot-bellied eagle owl. Okay, so now did you see what happened when I selected spot-bellied eagle owl? There is a maroon circle and an orange square next to it. So anytime you see a maroon circle or an orange square next to a bird, which means that it is a rare bird and you have seen something special and you should definitely document it. It's a moment of excitement because eBird is saying that this bird is rare for you. So all you have to do is make sure that you either add photos. If you can't add photos at that particular time, you can just add comments saying photographs taken, but do remember to add photos later. Or if you do not have a camera with you, you can always make extensive notes on what was the size of the bird, what was the plumage, how did you distinguish it from the other similar looking big owls. So as much details as you can just add in the comments, and then you can further proceed. Because unless and until you don't add some comments, the app will not let you proceed further. Similarly, if suppose if I'm reporting, let's try 500 bee eater. Okay. And you can see a diamond box with an exclamation sign has appeared. So that means that it's a high count. The count that I'm reporting is too high. So in such case, you have to add notes on how you arrived at this number. What was the method of counting you used? So there would be a lot of us who are not very familiar with counting birds in large flocks, but there are a lot of resources and webinar recordings available which you can watch and learn, because counts are important to know how our birds are doing, whether their populations is going up and down. So counts are important, but yeah, at any point of time, if you think that you do not want to count, you can simply click on present. and it will be documented as X instead of a number. This is again used only and only when you're very sure you do not want to count, you do not want to put efforts, but if possible, try all the time, try your best to add count. Okay, so this is just this is how the app works like. Now let's try to submit the app. But before you submit, there is a green tick mark at the bottom. Raj, am I still on the screen and there is no lag?
Yeah, no lag at all.
Okay, so the tick mark is basically to review. So before you click on stop, before you stop your list, just make sure that you have clicked on review, review all the birds. There is a possibility that you might have accidentally entered a 0 extra or a digit extra or a bird which you have not seen before. Let's imagine that I see another drongo, but I can't make out whether it is a ashy drongo or a black drongo. Then there is also an option in eBird to report it as black or ashy, a slash. Yeah, so if again, if you are in a forest and there are many species of drongos over there, you're new to birding, you don't know which drongo you saw, but you know for sure that it's some drongo, you can also put it as drongo spur. So like this, there are quite a lot of options available for most species. If you can't ID them, it's better not to be very confident and put anything. You can always use it as spur or you can use it as slash. So these are some of the best practices. So now I'm going to stop my list. My birding is over. I'm going to click on stop. So when you click on stop, it's asking if, are you sure if you want to leave this checklist? So when you click on stop track, the GPS that was tracing your route will stop tracing your route. Okay, so now you're on a page. And one of the good thing about eBird is that it has certain protocols. And for any systematic monitoring of birds, protocols are important. So this certain protocols here, if you click on the drop down, it will show you the kind of observation you did, whether you were traveling, walking, whether you were stationary, standing or sitting at one place and birding, or whether it was an incidental. These are the three main things we use. We do not use any of the ones listed below. Incidental list is when you are not birding, when birding was not your primary focus and you accidentally happen to hear or see a bird. Say you were talking on the phone in your balcony in the night and you heard a barn owl and you got excited, and you can open the app, put the barn owl, and that would be an incidental list. So coming back, it was total 7 minutes of birding. Now, what if there are more people, more than one person birding? So everybody need not make a separate list. All of us can, between all of us, one list can be made and it can be shared with other people. So let's assume I had 2 more people birding with me. So the moment I changed the count, the sharing option got activated. Now I have to click on the sharing option. It will take me to a screen where I have to add the username of eBird username of the other birders who were there with me. So let's assume I had Subhadra birding with me. Once I have entered her username, I have to click on enter on the keypad of my phone. And now I have to start entering the second birder who was with me. And again, click on enter. So now I have entered 2 birders who were birding with me. I click on done and it will give me a message that this will be shared with 2 birders. So now my job is over. My job was to share the checklist with the other birders who were birding with me. Now the onus is on them. They have to accept this checklist. So they will get an email notification, or when they open their eBird account, they will see a notification which says that a checklist has been copied, whether you would like to accept it or not. So now, are you submitting a complete checklist? So complete checklist and incomplete checklist, yes and no. So when you are identifying all the birds that you could identify to the best of your ability by sight or sound, you would click on yes. So in other words, if you're reporting all birds, including the common birds, including the feral pigeon, including the crow, mynas, so all the birds that you could identify to the best of your ability would be a complete list. But if you're intentionally leaving out certain birds, you've decided you just want to do water birds, you are not looking at land birds, or you just gone for raptor photography, or you've just gone for one bird which is being sighted in Bangalore, and you don't want to, you're not bothered by other birds that are around. And when you're just reporting those specific species, then it will be an incomplete list. So you can click on no. So let's assume that this was a complete list. I'll click on yes. And then I go down, I click on continue. Now we are towards the last part of our mobile app. So now it comes to the location. Now, if you do not have data connection, then you will not be able to see the nearby. Ebird will show you the nearby Ebird hotspots and the closest hotspots. So suppose this is Canara Bank layout, which is the closest hotspot for me, which is 0.1 kilometer. I will choose this. But if I don't have internet connection, the app will not show me any nearby hotspots. So in that case, I just have to close the app. So I'll close the app. I'll close the checklist. So I'll close the checklist, and you can see here under checklist, when I click on it, there are two options, not submitted and submitted. And when I click on not submitted, the list that I just closed will appear. So again, as I said, you don't need internet connection to create a checklist. You just need internet connection when you're uploading it, when you're submitting it. So no matter how many checklists you make, no matter how many checklists are lying in under not submitted, as long as your phone doesn't crashes, your not submitted lists are all safe. But the moment you get internet connection, make sure that you upload all the checklists at once, because phone can go wrong, app can go wrong. So do not keep the checklist not submitted for too long. Okay, now let's assume we have internet connection. So when it comes to choosing location, either you can choose the nearby hotspot, which the app will show you. So here the nearby hotspot is shown as the green balloon with a flame on it. See, when I click on it, it gave me the name. If I don't want to do that, I can also always select the GPS location which the app had selected. When I had started the app had took this GPS location. I can always use this location. Try your best that if whenever there is a hotspot available, use the hotspot. But if you're going to remote areas where eBird is not popular and there are not many hotspots around, you can use the location that app has given to you, selected for you. Yeah, that's it. And that's it. That's how you, I'm not uploading the list because it will, again, I'll have to delete it later, but this is how it is done. Thank you so much. Any questions regarding the app?
Thanks a lot, Mittal. Anyone has any questions? You can please ask now.
Thanks a lot. It was very nice. I missed out the initial part. What's the name of the app?
It's called
to be
Ebird.
downloaded?
Ebird.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Ebird. And there's another app which it's not installed on my phone because I just made some changes on my phone, is the Merlin Bird ID app, which is again a very useful app, especially if you're new to birding or if you're going to a new place for birding.
Any more questions? Vineet says very useful, Mittal.
Thank you.
Any questions in the hall? Okay, I have a couple of questions, Mittal.
Sure.
So one is when you put slash, say Ashi / Black Drongo, what happens with that observation?
Nothing happens to that observation. The observation will still be seen on the public domain and on your eBird list. But for scientific analysis, it may not be used. I mean, again, it depends what kind of scientific question people have. But otherwise, it's just a safer option than being very confident about something.
So if I'm downloading the CSVs from say certain area, so as a scientist, I can use the genus if it's the same genus, right?
Yes,
For
yes, you can. Yeah. And anyone can download the data. You have to send a request. There is a data download request. You have to give a reason, and within 24 to 48 hours, you will get the CSV file of all the records that you have asked for.
Yeah. The second question is, so when you are listening to a bird,
yes,
like you listen to the Taylor bird and you put one. Is it the right approach? Because when you just listen, you are not really sure whether there was one bird or two birds or three birds. Is it safer to mark presence, or it's safer to mark, it's more appropriate to mark numbers?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Raj, but I would still say it's safer to put a number because see, for a common Taylor bird or something like that, number 1 or 2 is not going to make a difference. You have to be conservative. But for a rarer bird, yes, I would say you have to be very careful. But otherwise, X can mean 1 or X can mean infinite number.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, so here is the screen. I don't know if you can still see my slideshow, but here is a screen of the Merlin Bird ID app.
We can see it.
Yeah, so it once you download the Merlin Bird ID app, again, you have to install India Pack. And then if you want to ID any bird, if you're at a new place, there are a few questions that the Merlin will ask you. And then it will give you a possibility of birds that you might have seen. And you can choose from that. There is possibility that the bird that you saw may not be the bird that Merlin shows. But the more photos, if you're photographers, or even if you're not photographer, if you have a simple point and shoot camera, I would still insist that you upload your photos, good or bad, to eBird, because then those photos are used to train this Merlin Bird ID app. So sound recordings, soon India is going to come with sound recordings also, where you can listen to a call, record it, and Merlin will ID for you. But for that, we need lots and lots of sound recordings. So nowadays with phone, you can do all that. And there are a lot of small, short videos on how to upload photos, how to use Merlin, how to use other features of eBird on the Bird Count India YouTube channel. So if this presentation has convinced you, then you can start uploading your records on eBird. And if you are new to birding, or even if you are an experienced birders, then do visit our Bird Count India website. You'll find a bunch of articles, some of birders' profiles, some talk about some species, some talk about the events, upcoming events. And also new birders can look at some of the resources, articles that can help you to get started with birding. And although Bird Count India is a project nestled under Nature Conservation Foundation, NCF, but this project is basically more of a partnership project where we work with government and non-government institutes, bird watchers, NGOs. There are birding groups which have presence on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook. So we all work together, and we develop programs, we develop events, and we also have the same common goal of documenting our birds in a better way. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can always send us an email at skimmer@birdcount.in. And I hope you're going to enjoy the Great Backyard Bird Count and Campus Bird Count with Raj. Yeah, and that's it. Sorry, I spoke a lot.
Thanks a lot, Mittal. It was really useful, and I'm sure people are giving you a round of applause from wherever they are. So for the people who are in the hall, if they are interested, I'll just do a live demo of the eBird app, particularly for someone who hasn't used it before. But like I told other participants, when you come for the bird like actual birding from Friday onwards, ideally have the eBird app installed, because we don't know when we go to a site, how is the internet connection, etc. Download the packs like Mithil told, and it will really make your birding experience more enriched. And I don't know if Mithil spoke about that or I missed it, but it also creates that healthy competition among many birders, which is also infectious. And as long as it helps birding and documentation of birds, it's a great thing. So so thanks once again, Mithil, and thanks everyone for joining and listening patiently to all of us today. If there is any comments or anything you want to share, you can either write to Mithil at the email ID which she provided, or you can write to me also. I'll be happy to pass it along to Mithil. So I'll see you guys on Friday morning then. Bye.
One second, can I ask a doubt?
Yes, please, Adyan, go ahead.
So can we, do we have to install it on mobile and bring it to the Saturday and Sundays bird watch?
Yeah. So you have to install and keep it ready in your mobile. You have to create a profile, and then you have to get your mobile on when you are coming for the bird count. And we will teach you how to use the eBird in the field. Like Mithil gave a demo today. It will be like once you use it in the field, it will just stay with you. You won't forget it. And you are a gen. I don't know what they call your generation, but you are the latest generation. So you are very, very comfortable with mobiles and any kind of tech. Did I miss anything, Mithil? I mean,
No, absolutely. I just want to say that downloading the eBird pack won't take much time, and it's very easy. But installing bird pack will take time depending upon your internet connection. So make sure that you install the bird pack when you have good connection, Wi-Fi or some good strong connection, and just keep your phone for some time. Don't keep looking at it, because it may really take, like sometimes it may take 15-20 minutes. So just do that and finish your other work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adyan. So I think with this we can end, and we'll see all of you who have registered for Friday morning here at ATREE. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Raj, and thank you, Mr. Ganesh, and the entire ATREE team for giving me this opportunity. And happy birding, all of you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks,
everyone.